Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome back for another Positive Talk Live. Super excited to be doing another one of these. Haven't done one in a while. Been doing a lot of calls in my coaching community, so it's been a while since I Jake and Birdie the other day. Hopefully all of you have been having a good week. Let's see. There we go. How's it going?
What's going on, man? How are you?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Doing well. Can't complain. Just having a productive start to the morning. So all good things over here.
Awesome. Yeah, I've had a couple really good calls this morning already as well, so good
Nice.
for productivity.
Love to hear it.
Awesome. Well, we can jump right into the conversation. I will let you introduce yourself so people know who you are, and then
Yep.
we can kind of see where the conversation takes us.
Cool. Yeah. So my name is Jason Lewis. I am a personal trainer and online fitness coach, and I also run two other part-time businesses as well. So kind of dipped into the real estate market, bought my first house last year, turned the house into a split level, turned the basement into an Airbnb that is now being rented out full time. I currently have tenants downstairs right now. And then I also run an e-commerce business, but those two businesses are kind of side hustles. My main business is my online training company that I run.
Awesome. So doing the multi-level entrepreneur thing, I love that because I
Yeah.
think that that's a journey a lot of people are looking into, and not everyone's cut out for it. So the fact that you're doing multiple definitely shows that you're dedicated to it.
Yeah, trying my best. Yeah, it's been a fun ride to this point. Like I said, kind of started both of those side hustles last year. Figured it'd be nice to have a second and third stream of income. Trying to just like build multiple businesses. Last year was definitely a long year of grinding it out and getting everything ready. Very expensive year buying a house and getting an Airbnb set up and whatnot. And then funding a second e-commerce project. But yeah, I mean, things are great. Love the entrepreneur mindset and just trying to kind of dip my hands into multiple pots here.
I love it. Yeah, I think that's one of the most important things about being an entrepreneur is having multiple like revenues coming in from different directions, because when it comes to the world and the economy, you never want all your eggs in one basket because you never know if something's going to kind of like flip over. So
Yeah,
having your hands in different baskets, I definitely think is a great idea.
yeah, absolutely.
When it came to like diving into the entrepreneurial world for your fitness, what kind of brought you down that road, and how long have you been doing that?
Yeah, great question. So I actually was a personal trainer back at Penn State when I was going to school there. I graduated in 2016, but so I took a course my sophomore year, essentially with like the head strength and conditioning coach at Penn State. He basically was like in charge of all of the on-campus gyms. Sorry, this is just like going way back. Gonna give just like a full overview.
No, yeah.
And so the top like 3% of that class, as we finished up the semester, we got job offers to be on-campus trainers at all of the gyms across Penn State. And so I was one of those individuals, thankfully, that got selected. I became a trainer at school. Spent the next 2 years, my junior and senior year at Penn State, working anywhere from 20 to 35 hours a week, training at the gyms, taking on anywhere from like 6 to 12 clients a day, which was a lot of fun, but it was a lot of work. Um, Ultimately, after I graduated, I got a job at JP Morgan working in the corporate world. Did that for about 3 years. Hated it. It was not a lot of fun. I figured, I found out pretty quickly that I was not cut out for the corporate world and the corporate structure of life. And so I quit my job there and ultimately decided to move out to Colorado, which is where I now live right outside of Denver. And got back to my training roots, figured there'd be an easy transition.
Today's going to be one of those days.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was saying, I think that that's the really cool part about like aligning with your passion and turning it into your career. Because I think that most people probably don't enjoy working for someone else because more than likely it doesn't align with how they'd like to live life. Most of us don't like being told what to do. So I love that you had the experience to work in a realm where you got to do something you really enjoyed, and then you got to turn it into something. So I think we got to the point where you're saying you were moving to
Yeah.
Colorado, and then it kicked us out.
Yeah. So, yeah, back in 2019, I quit my job at JP Morgan in July, took some time off from work, and then ultimately ended up moving to Colorado. I got here on Halloween, drove cross country by myself. It's a very long road trip. It was like 28,
Yeah.
29 hours in the car. And then, yeah, I got back to my training roots. It's something that I, really enjoyed in college and figured that it would be, at least in the interim, something that I could do until I figured out what I wanted to do, because I'm good at training. It's part of what I do in my day-to-day life. I'm very active. I'm very fitness oriented. And then so obviously, beginning of 2020, COVID hit, and my goal was to get a job in a corporate gym and just like kind of climb the ladder, potentially become like general manager of a corporate gym. COVID obviously had other ideas, and
Yeah.
I could not get a job in a gym because all of the gyms closed down for months. Thankfully, in the earlier part of the year, between January and February, I was studying to re-get my personal training certification. So I got certified as a personal trainer in strength and conditioning, as well as in nutrition. And then kind of just decided that, I saw a bunch of my friends, I saw a bunch of people kind of trying the online training route, which I never really knew much about, didn't know how it worked, didn't know kind of how to go about it. So I took a business course in the summer of 2020 with my first business mentor to figure out how to launch a full-time online personal training big company and business. And so, yeah, that kind of got me into the online training realm. And, here we are 3.5, almost 4 years later, and it's been my main job, my full-time job, my full-time passion since then. And it's been incredible. Honestly, I'm so lucky to, have the opportunity to do what I love and love what I do every single day. And it honestly just fulfills me much, much more than my corporate job ever did. So I'm very thankful for the opportunities that I've had.
Yeah. So when it comes to getting to work in a realm that you're passionate about, so if fitness was the thing that you were passionate about, and then diving into like the business side of things, because I know that a lot of people have like a strong passion for something, but they're not always great at marketing themselves to where they can turn that into something that they can live off of and profit. So was that an easy journey for you? You said that you got a mentor. I think that that's definitely an ideal thing for people who are interested in diving into business. But how did that journey look for you?
Yeah, it definitely was not easy. Easy would, yeah, that's a tough way to put it. It's been quite a journey. Like I'm still learning a lot. Yeah, I think for me, I kind of tried my hand at running like an online business. I don't even know if I could call it that. Really, during COVID, what I was just doing was like helping people out for free. I was just giving fitness advice, giving nutrition advice. I was like, creating at-home workouts for people. I was like posting pictures and videos of myself, like going on like 10-mile rucks with my backpack filled with like 50 pounds of bricks. Like I was just trying to do anything to like stay active and stay healthy, and also, you know recommend that other people try to do the same, especially during such like a weird time of not knowing what was happening. Obviously, a lot of people were getting super sick and being unhealthy and like dying, and like there was obviously a craziness to the beginning of 2020. And so again, everything I was doing was just free. I had like an entire email list of like 100 to 200 people where I was just sending free workouts, free nutrition plans, like doing all of it for free. And then I kind of hit a point where I was like, I should probably be charging for this. I was like, this is like, I'm giving a lot of effort towards this. I'm putting in a lot of work. Like it's taking up, 5-ish, 4 to 5 hours a day for me to like create these plans and do all of these things for people. And I'm not making any money. And like that obviously doesn't help. And so someone had mentioned, they were like, yeah, you should start charging for this, like turn it into a business. And then at the time I ended up coming across somebody on Facebook who was running ads for their business coaching course for people in the fitness space. And so I kind of looked at it, talked to him, talked to a few other individuals that went through his course, and kind of, they had great things to say. And they were like, yeah, this was really helpful. Now I have an LLC, I run a business. There were like two of the people that I talked to, they started making 6 figures in their first year as fitness coaches. So I was like, screw it, let's do it. Let's go for it. I took kind of at that point in time, I ran through a lot of my savings that I had accumulated from my years at JP Morgan. And I kind of used like my last $5,000 that I had to invest in this business course and invest in myself and starting this business. And that's what kind of kickstarted this entire journey where in my first like 2 or 3 months after I started my business, not only did I make my $5,000 back, but I think at that point within the first 3 months I'd made about $20,000, and I was like, oh, okay, so like I can actually make money doing this. Like I can make money doing this. And so yeah, that kind of kickstarted the entire journey where I was like, cool, let's see how far I can take this. Let's see kind of what I can do with this business. Since then, I've worked with multiple other business mentors. I've been working with my business coach, my business mentor for about 2 years now. Him and I linked up, maybe 2.5 years now. Him and I linked up, yeah, back in like 2021 at the end of the year. And so I've been working with him ever since, and he's truly helped me get to the level of where I'm at now. And again, so thankful for him, so thankful for the opportunities that have presented themselves to me just being in this space, the people that I've met along the way. It's been an incredible journey.
Yeah. And I think that that is something that a lot of people need to realize is like you have to make that investment in yourself
Yeah.
and make that choice of, you know what, I'm providing something that has value. I think that a lot of people give so many things away for free because there's like this mindset of having to give and feeling guilt around charging for services and things. But I mean, you had years of experience when you were in Pennsylvania doing that, and then of course, I mean, you were doing it for yourself as well.
Right.
So finding that value and knowing that it's okay, and then taking that shift of, okay, I need to invest in myself on the entrepreneurial side. Do you feel like these two side hustles that you've added on now, do you feel like the knowledge that you gained from your journey as an entrepreneur in the fitness world contributes to the success in those?
Yeah, so a couple of things really quick. I think one of the most important things that any of us could do, whether it's, investing like in your career, in your health, in your personal life, whatever it might be, taking the time to really figure out, what you would like to do and then taking a chance on yourself is so important, right? Again, like I said, I pretty much used like my last $5,000 that I had to my name for the most part. I had some like additional investments in 401k stuff for my old job, but whatever, like the last like liquid $5,000 that I had to my name, I put into a business course that I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea if it was going to work. Like I pretty much just took a chance. It was like, if this doesn't pan out, I just lost $5,000, and honestly now I'm kind of fucked, right? Like I'm in a situation where like I don't have any more money. I don't know what I'm gonna do. And so I kind of just took that leap of faith, took the chance on myself, and decided that investing in myself and putting this into what makes sense for me at that time was going to be the best course of action. And again, it has not been easy. It hasn't always worked out the exact way I've wanted it to, but at the same time, I'm still here, 3.5 years, almost 4 years later, and I'm still talking about how I'm doing the thing, right? And I think that that's an incredibly important aspect, is just like not quitting when you say you're going to do something. Just keep doing it. Especially, and I know that you can kind of speak to this being your personal coach yourself, just the longevity in this game and as an entrepreneur is what ends up leading you to success, right? It's the people that take a chance on themselves for 3 months and then give up. You're never going to see success in that sense, right? You have to spend months and years really grinding it out and working towards something that matters to you in order to actually see a transformative action take place. And so, yeah, with that in mind, having the last 3.5, 4 years or so working as an entrepreneur in my own business, being able to start these last, these other two companies, the e-commerce business as well as the real estate short-term rental business, absolutely. A lot of bits and pieces were overlapped in those businesses. Obviously, they're completely and entirely different businesses, but like just the tidbits of information that I've learned of like how to start an LLC, how to get a bank account set up, how to link a credit card to an LLC, and like get everything done in the background and like make sure that everything is running smoothly. Those are things that you learn in being an entrepreneur. And so while they are wildly different businesses and different business models, there's definitely a lot of overlap between the three businesses that I run.
Yeah. And one thing that I feel like is another thing that has overlap is the investment in yourself when it comes to your fitness and
Yeah.
nutrition and mindset, because I think that that carries over into entrepreneurship. Because, like you were saying, when it comes to a business, if you only invest 4 months into it and then give up, that's very similar to investing in yourself when it comes to your own fitness journey as well.
Yeah.
Because I always tell people all of that carries over. It's a mindset. And if you start the mindset of, I'm going to invest in myself because I know I will be able to support myself better, I will be able to support the people around me better if I feed into myself first. So when it comes to working with clients in the fitness realm, what do you think are some of like the first steps, the mountains that people have to get across first so that they start actually creating this new habit of investing into their own fitness plans?
Yeah. So actually, give me 1 second. I'm just gonna clean my camera off really quick. It seems a little bit dirty. Sorry. Like a little bit foggy. Let's see. All right, I think that's a little bit better. I don't know. Yeah, so I really like what you just said there. I think, investing in yourself, whether it's financially or time or your health, whatever it might be, like taking the time to kind of fill your own cup before you try to fill others, I think is incredibly important. You can't give from an empty cup, right? And so one thing that I always tell all of my clients is like, if you're trying to balance work and your personal life, with your career and like a family and kids and this, that, and the other thing, and it's like, but you're not taking any time for yourself. You're not focusing on your health. You're not focusing on, the food you're eating, the amount of activity you're getting on a day-to-day basis, like how much, water you're drinking, right? If you're doing all of these super unhealthy things, you're eating like garbage, you're eating, fast food at McDonald's, and you're drinking soda, or you're drinking Gatorade all day, or like whatever it might be, you're not going to have any energy to fill up anybody else's cup, right? Like if all you're doing is just filling your body with trash and garbage, and your kids want to go play, and like, after a super long day at work and you're exhausted, and then your kids want to play, it's like you're not going to have the energy or the time to like play with your kids and feel good about it. You're probably still going to do it, but you're not going to feel great. You're just going to be, lethargic, tired, empty, and just like wanting to go to sleep. So I think taking the time to focus on yourself, and again, fill your own cup first, and kind of creating healthy habits is, I think, the first step. And it doesn't need to be, hey, I need to go from like 0 to 100, going from having never worked out before to working out 6 days a week, to like getting 10 hours of sleep at night, to like drinking a gallon of water a day. It's like those are all really, great habits to have, but it takes a long time to get there, right? And so I think that one of the aspects of any journey that I try to instill in my clients and anybody else that I come across and chat with is like, slow and steady wins the race, right? Create a sustainable approach to whatever it is that you're doing. And the longer you do it, the easier it becomes, which I shouldn't even say that. The longer you do it, the better you get at it. Which makes it seem easier, right? But it's like something I always tell my clients, it's like lifting 100 pounds in the gym is always going to be 100 pounds, right? 100 pounds never gets lighter. You just get stronger, right? And so it's very similar, applied to any other aspect of life. Like going to bed and getting 10 hours of sleep, that's really challenging to do. If you're currently sleeping 3 or 4 hours a night, you have to slowly chip away at getting better at all of these things and start to build really positive, powerful day-to-day habits that you can create sustainably over the course of time. And it might take you, 6 months to a year, or sometimes 2 years to get to that point. But when you show up for yourself day in and day out, you're going to reap the benefits of that down the road.
Yeah. And I think in that journey, like it's so important to align yourself with someone who has mastered that. There have been several times where I've attempted new things that if I wasn't surrounded by the right people, that's why I
Yeah.
quit. And I think that that's the beauty about working with a personal trainer, working with a coach, is you've got someone who is right in front of you who has obtained the goal that you've set for yourself, and they are there to fully support you on that journey. And I know that for me, when it comes to holding myself accountable, like I have to do that, but on that journey, it's nice to have someone that like pulls you up when you fall down, because life will naturally slap you whenever you try something new.
Yep.
Your habits, your body wants to stay with what's familiar, and shaking that off and falling into new habits and creating new movements in your life, it's a challenge. It's not easy. And that's one of the things that I found when it comes to working with people who are in expert level of certain things is
Yeah.
they can keep you going. Whereas when I'm surrounded by people who are not in that, they give all the advice. Well, if it's so hard, just quit. If you hate it so much, quit. You don't need to do it, quit. And I think that the biggest success is when you sign up and you're like, you know what, I'm going to find someone to invest my money in who's going to invest their time to make sure I don't give up on this goal, because it's
Yeah.
something I know that will be an investment in myself. And not everyone falls into that path right away, but I've found signing up for any type of mentorship program, fitness program with someone who will show up when my habits are not showing up.
Yeah.
I think that that's really important.
Yeah, and to kind of piggyback off of that, I am personally a very strong and firm believer in not wasting time trying to do things by yourself when you could just pay someone to help you along the way, right? That's why there are personal trainers, there are personal coaches, there are life coaches, there are contractors, right? Like I when I was starting this Airbnb, for instance, like I had to renovate part of the basement and build a brand new shower, right? And I'm looking at it, and it's like doing demo work is easy. You just take a sledgehammer and you smash out a wall and you just break a bunch of shit and you're good, right? And like that part's easy. But then rebuilding a wall, framing a wall, tiling, like doing all of these things, I'm looking at it and like I'm looking up YouTube videos and I'm like, okay, at the end of the day, I could probably get this done. It's probably going to be a bit of a shoddy job. And at the end of the day, I might save myself like two, maybe $3,000. It's like, do I really care enough to do like a 80% decent job to save 2 or 3 grand? Or would I rather just go find an expert and a professional in their field to do this the right way the first time around, get it done where I know for a fact it's going to be done right, and I'm not going to have to redo it or spend more time or money or effort doing it a second time. It's like, yeah, I've just figured out in my life that I'm like, someone has been here before, someone has done this, they've gone through, the trial and tribulations of like what it looks like to figure this out. I'm not going to pretend that I'm an expert in tiling or plumbing or all of these things where it's like I didn't go to school for it, I haven't studied it. Like, yeah, there's YouTube, you can look things up, sure, but like someone literally has studied that for 5, 10, 20 years. Like, I'm just going to pay an expert to do that for me because they're going to get it done the right time. They're going to get it done right the first time around. And I'm going to save myself time, effort, stress, whatever it might be. And so the same is to be said for any type of like personal coach or fitness coach, whatever it might be, right? 10 years ago, when I was, in my early 20s, like I was an okay fitness coach, but I was just training people that were at a lower level than I was in the gym. Now, 10 years later, it's like I embody fitness, not to toot my own horn, but it's like I rarely drink anymore, right? Like I'm no longer partaking in like extracurriculars, that are really unhealthy for you, like doing drugs when I was in college kind of thing. Like, I'm sober, I'm living a healthy, clean life. And like people, that might not be exactly there yet, like can look up to me in that sense of being like, okay, like this guy is not just like, talking the talk, like he's actually walking the walk, right? Like he's actually doing it instead of wasting time and effort and, whatever, like going through those trials yourself. It's like just pay someone to hold you accountable, pay someone to help you, pay an expert to help you get to where you want to be, because we've already been there. We already have done that. We know what that looks like. Don't waste time trying to figure it out on your own.
Yeah. And I mean, when it comes to fitness, there's a lot of opportunities for getting hurt, slowing the process down.
Yep.
Like you were talking about, there's a lot of people that work in the corporate world who time is precious.
Yeah.
Like when it comes to, if you have goals in your fitness world where it's like, I would like to be here at this time, nothing's going to help you better than working with someone who understands the things that you're going to need to do to get
Yeah.
there. Kind of like with your business thing, like had you not hired a mentor, how long do you think that process would have been to
Oh,
gain that
Yeah,
$50,000 that you pull
it
in.
would have
And I think
taken
that,
so much longer. It's not even
because
close.
yeah, there's books, there's YouTube,
Yeah,
there's things out there, but it's like, if it's not your passion space, let someone else exist there and do that. And I think
right.
that, because you were even talking like you bought a home and you jumped into real estate, like the process of buying a home, you started absorbing that knowledge and understanding that world to where now that is part of your gained knowledge from
Right.
experience that
But
you can share.
I like worked with people that helped guide me. I worked, with my uncle who is a real estate mogul. Like he owns more than a dozen properties and like he crushes it in the real estate world. And I've had constant ongoing conversations with him. And then I worked with a real estate broker and a mortgage lender. Like I surrounded myself with experts and professionals in that field that led me in the right direction of like, hey, this is a good deal. This is not a good deal. This is what you should offer. This is how you should do this, whatever it might be. Like just giving pieces of advice throughout the entire process where it's like, if I just went out on my own and tried to buy a house by myself, no shot. It would have worked out and had gone as seamlessly as it did. Right? Like I'm sitting in my house right now and it's like, I would not have this house if I tried to go out completely on my own and figure it out on my own. Right. And so for me personally, I value my time more than anything else because, as you know, time is the only finite thing that we have in this world. I would rather spend money and save time versus, spending a lot more time trying to get to the same exact result just because I wanted to save a couple $100 or a couple $1,000 here and there. Like I personally value my time more than I value money. So that's my personal perspective and my personal belief.
Yeah. I mean, I think that a lot of times we forget how precious time is.
Yeah.
And I think another thing that's really important in the journey is realizing when pride and ego uh, push you into a place where you're no longer serving yourself in the best ability. Because
Yeah.
you could have pride and be like, I want to do this on my own. I don't want help. But knowing and being able to admit, like, this is not my area of expertise and there's no shame in this. I'm going to ask an expert what I should do in this situation. And I'm going
Right.
to use this time to absorb knowledge and become the expert in this area for myself. Because I've worked with so many people who get in a mindset of maybe like for you in the fitness realm, becoming such an expert in that space. And now you're jumping into Airbnb and real estate where this is new. You could
It
easily
is.
be in a mindset of pride and being like, I've got this thriving business over here. I don't need help. I can do this myself. But you are in a mindset where you're like, I know the power of experts. I believe my time is precious. Let's invest in myself again
Yep.
and get this stuff to where I have more available time to do the things I love, be with the people I care about.
Yep. And on that topic, right? My business partner and I that I actually bought my house with and went through this entire, renovation, whatever with the house, we decided that instead of, because we both work full-time jobs, we have a lot on our plate, instead of us trying to take over the entire property and rent it out on Airbnb and have a cleaning service and have a snow shoveling service and a garbage service or whatever, we just hired a property management company to take over the entire thing and manage every single thing beginning to end with the Airbnb. It's like, am I going to make as much money with the management property? No, but I'm not going to have to do anything and I'm going to make, 15% less money, but I just bought back all of my time, right? We took and spent a lot of time with renovations and like fixing the house and everything else last year, and that's fine. We needed to do that. But moving forward, I was like, do I really want to spend even 10 to 15 hours a week dealing with the Airbnb, calling people, booking reservations, like booking out the cleaning service, whatever? It's like, yeah, I thought about it and I was like, no, not really. I really don't care about making a couple $100 extra a month or like maybe $1,000 extra a month, because instead of doing that, I'm just like, I'm just going to outsource it to someone else. They're going to take care of it, manage the entire thing beginning to end. I'm going to collect a paycheck every month and that's it. And I'm okay with that. And so again, figured out pretty quickly, like I'd rather just have an expert in their field come in and take over this entire project and do it for me, and I'll make a little bit less money, but at the end of the day, like I have my peace of mind, I bought all my time back, and like I'm still making money off of it. Again, money is not the most important thing. Like I think creating wealth is obviously an important thing, but like there's so many different ways to do that. You obviously have to figure out like which way you want to create wealth, what makes the most sense for you. For me, I would rather have my time back so that I can spend more time learning about moving forward how I can buy another house and turn that into another Airbnb versus spending all of my time just solely focused on this one Airbnb that we currently have.
Yeah. And I think that that's like a precious lesson that people have to learn, because
Yeah,
a lot of times when I'm talking to people, because I work with people who are at the beginning stages of launching their coaching practices,
nice.
launching their entrepreneur journeys. And so often this focus is so tied to the money exchange part, the
Yeah.
money part of it. And when you ask questions around like, well, how much time do you want to invest in this? That's the time factor is where it's like, okay, if you only want to spend this many hours a day, that means that you have to hire people to do the other
Yep.
stuff that takes a lot of time,
Yep.
because time is valuable. And I don't think a lot of people use that in equations. And that's when you start to run into throwing off fitness, throwing out people you care about, throwing off all the things that are like feeding you, to where you start to kind of fall apart, and all the stuff you've worked so hard on is no longer there because it got destroyed in the process of not understanding the importance of time and investment into yourself. So when it comes to people who live in that world where time is just not their friend at the moment, they haven't created a life that gives them the time that they need to invest in themselves. How do you help people kind of put that priority on themselves and realize it's a shift? Like, it doesn't come easy. That shift, it's a process that you have to accept, and that means letting other things go that might be in the way at that time.
Yeah, so that's a big piece. That's a great question, first of all. That's a big piece of what I work on with all of my one-on-one clients is figuring out how you can best use and utilize the time in each and every day in the most efficient way possible, right? So for instance, I've worked with people that they work 75, 80 hours plus a week, whether they're, in the medical field or they travel for work 80% of the time. They're on like 2 or 4 planes a week traveling. Like the most important thing is being able to sit down and break down each and every day. For me personally, I break my days down to hour-long blocks. Like, okay, I wake up at 7:30 every day. My first 30 minutes is just like waking up, expressing gratitude, washing my face, washing my hair, whatever. And then by 8 o'clock, I am on my way to the gym, right? And so the first hour of my day, the first 30 minutes of my day, I have complete, a morning routine that I stick to. And then the next hour, I have a routine that I stick to. And then the next hour, I have right. And so it's like, it's just one after another of like breaking down your day into hour-long blocks so that it's not a 24-hour period, it's 24 1-hour periods, right? And you can easily break that down and look at the minute level of like, okay, from 12 to 1, I have a call. And then from 1 to 1:30, I'm going to eat lunch. And then from 1:30 to 2, I'm going to go for a walk. And then from 2 to 3, I have more calls, whatever it might be, right? And so I think that's an important aspect that has taken me a really long time to learn is like, don't ever look at a full week of what you have to get done. Just look at what do I have to do this day and how can I break this day down into hour-long segments to where I can be my most efficient self, right? A lot of times people are like, oh, I don't have time to do anything. But in between meetings, they have 30 minutes and they sit there and they scroll on their phone and they do absolutely nothing. It's like that's 30 minutes that you could have spent doing something productive, right? If you're working like a full-time job and you're trying to start a side hustle, that's 30 minutes that you could have spent doing DM outreach or setting up an LLC or, whatever it might be. Like you can fill your day to the absolute brim by breaking it down into hour-long segments and saying, okay, every single hour of the day, I'm going to completely fill it out with something. And even if that something is watch TV for an hour, right? You know that, okay, from 7 to 8 p.m., like you have a free hour of time. Cool, watch TV for an hour. That's totally fine. But you know that like once 8 o'clock comes, if you have a call or if you're ready to go to bed or whatever it might be, like don't break that routine. Don't break that hour and be like, okay, 1 hour turns to 2, turns to 3. And all of a sudden, you know, your productive day, you just spent 3 hours watching TV doing nothing at the end of the day when you could have been working on, you know, a side hustle or like starting a new business or going to bed early or whatever it might be. And so that's something that I always urge my clients to do when we get started working together is, you know, we're not going to completely shift your schedule to fit around the gym. We're going to create a customized individual plan in the gym to fit around your schedule. So those clients that work 70, 80 hours a week, you know, they're working like 6 12 hour, 6 14-hour days. It's like, those are some really long days. Obviously, that's a lot of work to get done. At the end of that day, you have 10 hours outside of work. You're spending 8 of those hours or 6 of those hours sleeping, but you still have 2 to 4 hours in between where you can do something for yourself. You can go for a walk. You can do a 30 or 45-minute workout. You can eat some healthy food. You can drink some water, right? Like, there's a million different things that you can do throughout the day. And like, saying that you don't have enough time, to me, is a really poor excuse for just not wanting to get shit done.
Yeah. It's so interesting because you have to have that mindset shift of understanding that. And I also did the hour breakdown because
I
there
love
were
it.
times where new things would pop up on my schedule and I would just be, oh my God, I don't know what
Yeah.
to do. My mindset would go everywhere. And it was like, okay, there are blocks that I can pick up and move. So obviously fitness was something that's still important. So this meeting just fell into my regular hour of fitness. What do I now have to move to keep this on the table?
Yeah.
There's always like the hour of TV that can be taken off for the day. We don't need that hour
Exactly.
of TV. So
Exactly.
don't fill your schedule to the point where every single thing has so much meaning that if it falls off, that the world is going to collapse
Yeah.
around you. But realize that usually when you get sucked into that television series or you get sucked into your phone, that there's so many calculated hours there that are being wasted that you don't even realize are being
Yeah.
wasted until you start to formulate that mindset of these are the things that have purpose, these are the things that I value, these are the things I will make time for. And you start to realize, because fitness, I think so often we tie such a negative mindset to, like, I have to do this or I'm going to have to give away my time. It's like, no, this is an investment. I get to invest in myself for an hour. I get to connect to myself. I get to relax and disconnect. Like, there's so many things that you can look at with a different mindset that make putting it in that block for yourself an exciting hour that you are like, you know what? I have invested in everything around me so long. It's time that I put some time back on that schedule for myself because
Yeah.
that shouldn't be something that creates such a negative mindset around having to do.
Yeah, and I love what you just said there of shifting your mindset, because that's honestly something that I do with all my clients as well, is shifting from I have to do this to I get to do this, right? And I remember back in 2014 when I had an internship at Northwestern Mutual, I went to the annual company meeting in Minneapolis, and we got to listen to. So have you ever heard of the company Life is Good?
Yes,
Yeah.
I love them.
So incredible company, really awesome mission statement, really awesome purpose. It's a clothing apparel. They have some really cool other stuff now. We got to listen to the 2 founders of the company come in and speak to us, and that still to this day, 10 years later, is something that I think about. They shifted our mindset and they gave a speech on having that mindset shift of you don't have to do this, you get to do this, right? You don't have to go to work, you get to go to work. You don't have to eat healthy food, you get to eat healthy food. Like, you don't have to work out, you get to work out. You should be happy and proud that like you have this body that is capable of working out. You have this body that you woke up today, you get to wake up, you get to see sunlight, you get to be outside, you get to do all of these things. And I think that's such a powerful shift to have, is like, I don't have to do anything. Like, I could lay in my bed all day long and do absolutely nothing. But that sounds miserable. That doesn't sound enjoyable at all, right? Like, I
Yeah.
get to wake up and be active and do things and like talk to people and connect with individuals such as yourself and have these awesome conversations. Like, this isn't something that we had to do. This is something that we got to do, right? We get to do. And so I think just having that small, minor mindset shift every day makes life a lot more exciting and a lot more enjoyable when you look at it in that sense.
Yeah. And I think when you invest in yourself in that way, you don't realize how much that trickles into every other aspect of your life. Like all of
Absolutely.
it's connected, whether you see the connection or not. So, like, even on days where, like, I'm like, okay, there's no fitness going on the schedule today. It's absolutely packed, whether it's driving, whether it's time and hours that I just am not connected to any space where I can do it. I'm just like, okay, what do I need to continue to do to make sure that I don't fall off the wagon and not show up for myself tomorrow? And it's like, do I have moments of being able to practice something mindfulness related? Do I have the ability to feed into myself, whether it's a healthier snack choice than going to McDonald's and shoving nasty, greasy
Yeah.
burgers down my throat? It's like there's so many things that you can be aware of, but when you start to have the mindset of, I get to invest in myself, I'm actually the number one thing on my
Yeah.
list of my
Yeah.
life.
And you should be.
So when it creates that mindset, when things fall off or fall out of order or your schedule gets flipped upside down. I think the pandemic taught us all that no matter how sure we are of something, like I'm going to do this, life can kind of flip that off the table and you have to
Yeah.
pivot and change. But when you create a habitual mindset of, I will invest in myself each day, I will make sure that my cup is full so I can continue to do what I do. Like that mindset shift, once you develop it, when life throws chaos, when life throws surprises into your life, when you're in a mindset of, I will provide, I will connect to myself, that comes so much more naturally than if you are just like, these are the things I have to do.
Right.
This is what it's a mindset shift that it doesn't disappear just because you forget to go to the gym one day or aren't able to go to the gym.
Yeah.
It's something that just naturally doesn't happen so smoothly if you're at the beginning stages. But when you take the time and process and create that for yourself, it's a beautiful place to be. And you want more people to understand that flow.
Exactly. And I think an important aspect to think about is, again, when you break your days down into those hour-long blocks and you have a consistent routine of, like, if you're someone that is capable of saying, okay, I work like a 9 to 5, I don't work outside of those hours. This is what I do for those 8 hours. Outside of those 8 hours, this is what I do in the morning. This is what I do after work. Like, when you have a bulletproof schedule and consistent schedule in place, to your point, when life gets in the way, when a random thing comes in and like blows up your entire day, it's like, that's okay. Like, it's okay to have one of those days where just like shit hits the fan and things that don't normally happen, because you have such a bulletproof, rock solid day-to-day plan that you just get right back to it the very next day and you don't skip a beat, right? It's the people that don't have this plan, they don't have this strategy and this structure in place, where it's like shit hits the fan and then it just blows up for like a week, which, a day turns into 3 days, which turns into a week, which turns into a month. And it's like, if you don't have that structure and that bulletproof plan, that can happen very easily. And like, speaking from experience, I know for a fact that that can happen. It's happened to me multiple times throughout the course of my life, where that's the main reason that I changed how I approach each day and each week. Is like, okay, I have a consistent structure and plan in place where it's like, this is for the most part what I do at every hour of every day, where I know that, like, between, the morning schedule, this is what I'm doing. If something comes in the way or like a call comes up I wasn't expecting, like, it's okay. I can, I have a few hours at the end of my day where I can shift things, move things around, and put something in place there where it's not going to completely blow up and ruin my day. And if it does, that's okay, because tomorrow's a new day. I'm just going to wake up and do it all over again. And so, yeah, I think that having more of a bulletproof structure and plan and regimen and schedule put in place is truly what allows us to stay consistent for the long term.
Yeah. I learned that I had to depend on other people and realize that I
Mm,
can't do it all, because when I would have things that kind of exploded my schedule that I was not ready for, if I was the person operating everything, like my responsibility was to keep every single aspect of my life in check,
Yeah.
that when it came to moments of, oh gosh, this just destroyed everything that I was working on this week, I didn't have anyone that I could pass things off to that needed to be
Yeah.
done, to where it's like, hey, can you call these people for me this week because something came up and I'm having to reorganize my schedule and I can't find a place for these to fit. Can I hand this off to you? Can you work on this?
Yep.
And I had built my original business model very much on me being the only employee of that business without any help.
Which is
And
tough. That's
yeah,
very tough. I've done that
it's
myself. It's
it's
hard.
not easy. And then all it took, I actually caught COVID and it knocked me out for a whole month.
Yeah.
Like walking from my bed to the bathroom felt like a marathon. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just not expecting that. And I would take a shower, I would do my coaching call or my course or a positive talk, whichever one I needed, and then I'd go right back to
Yeah.
bed. But like I had built a life and a business that required me to be very productive for at least 4 to 5 hours a
Yeah.
day. And when I could only give like an hour or 30 minutes before I was back down in bed, like my business model showed me that I didn't create something that was bulletproof or was able to keep rolling if number one was out of commission.
Yep.
So when I picked back up, when I was like, okay, I'm going to continue to do this because it's my passion, it's what I love. Just because I failed and fell down right here didn't mean that it was a give up. It was
Yeah.
okay.
Just a
I learned a
setback.
lesson here.
Yeah.
Let's pick back up, and this time let's build a business model that when I'm not moving, the business can continue to do its thing. And that's a journey. It's not something that comes first time around. And even when you're like 10 years into something, we're still learning and adapting to everything around us. But you have to
100%.
create that with intention of, I need to leave room for error. And I also have to build a life around myself that is forgiving, but also feeding into me so that I can continue to give and give and give.
100%. I spoken very, very greatly. I would say like that. That's such an important aspect of life is you don't have to do everything by yourself, right? Especially as an entrepreneur, like you don't have to run your business. And I recommend not running your business entirely by yourself. Like having a support team around you. That's why I have an assistant. I have no idea what I would do without my assistant. I would fall flat on my face if I did not have an assistant right now. And I'm sure you can speak to that as well. Like just having a team around you, having that support system, having an accountability system to check in on and being like, okay, for me, for instance, right, like last Friday was my birthday, right? So I took off work. I was like, you know what? It's a Friday. I'm going up to the mountains. I'm going to go snowboarding. If I take this entire day off, is my business going to fail? Am I still going to book calls? Am I still going to, generate good content? Am I still going to like do the things that I'm supposed to do? And the fact that I have an assistant, the answer to all of those things is immediately yes, right? If I was a one-man show and I did everything 100% completely on my own, like I used to, 2 or 3 years ago, I would feel really guilty about taking that day off because I knew that my business would not continue to push forward. But the fact that I have an assistant who helps me with all of these things allows me to take that time, to take that freedom and be able to, spend that important day to myself or with my friends that I spent it with. Because, again, having an expert in place to buy back your time is an important thing. So it kind of circles back to what we were saying before, right? My assistant is an expert in the things that I have her doing. And the reason that I have her do them is because she's an expert and because I value my time, again, more than I value money. I'd rather pay her to do the things that she's better at doing than I am. And I can buy my time back and enjoy myself outside of work when I want to. And so, yeah, I mean, again, having a team around you is the most important thing that you could possibly do, I believe, as a business owner.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're doing the tedious things and things that drain you because it's not in your area of expertise, then that same energy shows up in the areas where you could be providing your
Yeah.
passion with a lot higher energy. So I think that understanding that is really important. And I think the investing into yourself, like, don't build a business model that removes you from being able to show up in real life as well. Like, being an entrepreneur is a thing, but your human experience is more than just your work.
Yeah.
And if your work is consuming you to the point where like you can't enjoy life if you can't take your birthday off because you've built a business model that it's going to destroy itself if you take a
Yeah,
day off. Like that is not a way to live,
it's not a
and you don't want to fall
sustainable
into that.
business model at all.
Yeah.
And like, and you know, especially working in the corporate realm for as long as I did, I saw so many people that, you know, they essentially, for the most part, live to work. And I never wanted that for myself, which is why, you know, I made a commitment that I was going to stick out this job for 3 years. And it's actually really funny. 3 years and one day, I put in my 2 weeks. I was like, I made a commitment. I'm in a 2-year rotational program. I needed to wait one additional year for all of my, you know, investments to fully vest in the company, 401k, everything else. And I was like, I'm going to give myself 3 years. And if at the end of 3 years, I am not fulfilled and I'm not happy in it, it's time to move on. Literally the day after I hit my 3-year anniversary, I put in my 2 weeks and was like, get me out of here, right? Because it was not filling my cup. I was not being fulfilled and it was completely draining me. And I saw people 10, 20, 30 years into their career, all they were doing was living to work. They didn't have a life outside of work. They were working 60, 70, 80 hours a week, even in their 50s. And I was like, I don't ever want that for myself. I don't want to be sitting at a computer 14 hours a day, 5, 6 days a week, just to make money, right? Like I would much rather make a lot less money and, you know, live my life the way that I want to and be fulfilled and enjoy what I'm doing and, you know, have the team around me and pay people to do things that I'm not great at because at the end of the day, I get to enjoy my life significantly more if that's the case versus just grinding it out, doing the tedious tasks that I hate doing, like doing the things I don't enjoy. It's like, I'm just going to pay someone to do those things for me because they're going to be better at it. And that's what their expertise is in.
Yeah. And I think that on that journey, like a lot of people start to come to the realization, like once you start to invest in yourself, once you start to connect to yourself in that way, because fitness is a journey where you do connect to yourself.
Yeah.
Like I think there's so many things out there that teach us to disconnect. Like when you work for corporate America or for another company, they want you to see their goals. They want you to connect yourself to their goals. They want you to be connected to your paycheck. They want you, it's connecting you to things outside of
Yeah.
yourself. But when you invest in yourself, you start to see like this isn't what drives me. Like what am I doing? Why am I working for this company? I'm literally living my life for their paycheck to live hours of my life outside of their
Yeah.
business. And I think any type of journey where you start to invest in yourself, you start to see those things like what does bring me to life? What is important? And I learned that, like, yes, I can make the excuse and say, well, I work this many hours, and the hours I'm not working, I want to spend with my loved ones. But do I want to bring this angry person from work home to the people I care about? Or do I want to invest in myself, go to the gym, do something for myself that brings me back to life to where when I show up for the people around me, that I'm showing up as a self that is enjoying life.
Yeah.
So it's just like through the journey of choosing yourself over others, like you start to be able to give more to the people that you care about. And you start to see, hey, I've been told I'm supposed to do this, but it doesn't feel like what I want to be doing. It's not my passion. And you
Yeah.
start to dive into that realm of thinking, well, what do I want to connect with? And I think that the fitness journey is part of it. The mindset journey is part of it. The nutrients that you're taking into your body, it's all wrapped together. And you just pick a place to start. If you want to start with mindset, great, hire someone. If you want to start with fitness, do it because it's all connected. It will all come in, but you have to stay in the game and stay connected to yourself and invest in yourself continuously. Or, like you said, you can do a 4 month thing and then disconnect and go back into all the things that you do to try to numb yourself.
Yeah.
But I think connecting with an expert, connecting with someone who has what you're looking for, that's the best way to stay motivated and continue to invest in yourself because the world doesn't want you investing in yourself. It wants you invested in whatever project someone else is doing. You have to learn how to strongly put your foot down and say, I'm choosing me because when I do that, I'm able to give a lot more to the world around me.
Yeah. Beautifully said. 100%. And I think for me, one thing I always try to instill in all of my clients is like fitness, when you first get started, is kind of a catch-22. It's like you have to spend energy that you don't have to get energy that you want, right? It's like if you never go to the gym, if you never work out, if you don't eat healthy, you don't really have a ton of energy. The way to get more energy is to expend energy in the gym and on your fitness and on your health to then get more energy. But you have to spend the energy that you don't have to get that, right? And so it's kind of this catch-22 situation. It's like the first week, the first month, the first 3 months even can be very challenging and very difficult. But when you show up every day, every week, every month for yourself, and you follow a regimen and you're eating healthier and you're moving your body more and you're staying active, it's going to be a night and day difference in who you are and how you feel on a day-to-day basis, right? Working out and just moving your body releases serotonin and it releases that dopamine in your body and it feels incredible. It might be the hardest thing you have to do in a week to go to the gym, but when you're done with it, I've almost never heard someone after a workout be like, oh, that wasn't worth it. Like in the moment, you're like, this sucks. I'm not enjoying it. I'm tired, I'm lethargic. And then you finish and you're like, that was awesome. I feel great. That was incredible. Like I have so much energy now. And so, yeah, I think just focusing on spending a little bit more time on yourself, investing in yourself, in your health, and your wellness is, to me, I think, kind of like the end all be all to creating success and more energetic, pull in your life. And so that's something I always try to like harp on my clients and try to, instill in them is like, just focus on today, focus on getting into the gym, focus on doing something healthy for yourself today. And tomorrow you'll thank yourself for it. And when you can stack up all of those days and weeks and months consecutively, you become a whole new person within, 6 months to a year. And again, that's truly speaking from personal experience.
Yeah. Well, I see that we've gotten to the end of the hour. I know we had a couple of minutes where it disconnected us and all,
Yeah.
but I wanted to say thank you so much for coming on here and doing this. And if there's anything that you would like to share for people who may be interested in connecting with you and possibly connecting with you for fitness or whatever else they may be able to gain from you, feel free to throw that out there. I'd love to support you in any way that I can for sure.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was awesome. Honestly, I didn't even realize that a full hour had gone by. This was just such a great conversation. I really appreciate you having me on here. Yeah, anyone that's interested in, even just having a conversation, I do free consultation calls with everybody. Feel free to, check out the link in my bio, book a call with me. Any questions that you have, anything that comes to mind, shoot me a DM. I'm here. I'm an open book. I'm here as a resource. Everything that I do for the most part is run through Instagram. So as you can see, my tag or handle is J_Lou22. Feel free to throw me a follow and ask any questions in the DMs that come up. And yeah, again, truly appreciate you having me on here. This was awesome. This was a really good time. So thanks so much.
Yeah, no problem. You have a good rest of your day and stay connected.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yep.
Man. Enjoy your day. I'll talk to you
You
soon.
too. Bye.